Welcome to Now, the informative talk show that talks about everything and everybody.
Welcome to the Mancave Edition, or should I say welcome back, of Now. I'm your host, Bryant, here with your host,
Tony.
So last time we was here, we was talking about how to love an independent woman.
Yes.
Now I think we've been set up again. The topic we're dealing with is spiritual man do's and don'ts, but it's how to be a strong leader in your house. So with that being said, we're going to take off. How would you say you be a strong leader in your house?
I would say not being over dominant, because sometimes as men in our society, that's what we're accustomed to.
But wait, you know what they say? You got to be a man. You got to rule with an iron fist, right?
Yeah, but you got to be firm but fair. Sometimes we can be, you know what I'm saying? We got that testosterone in us, so be over dominant from how we was raised and how we was perceived in the world. You know,
over dominant and a little overzealous or whatever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think you're right on with that, spot on with that. I think we got to do it by example too, and not just by example, but you have to do it with love. You know what I'm saying? So in love, you're not necessarily going, if you're doing it in love, you're not necessarily going to overpower or over dominate or whatever the case may be, because yeah, God called you to be the head, but being the head don't mean being a knucklehead.
Yeah.
So you got to understand how to acquiesce or how to segue, you know, with dealing with different issues or whatever the case may be. I say again, leading by example. That's the key, and probably would be the most powerful. What example are you gonna lead by? You know what I'm saying? And so again, like we was talking about before, you gotta have that playbook, you know what I'm saying, that you agree upon. This is gonna be our core foundation of what we do, how to do it, and when we do, you know what I'm saying? And so you can't, you know, we came up with that. Don't do as I do, do as I say. How'd that come out?
But a strong leader also has to know how to be a follower as well. You know what I'm saying? Because you're a strong leader in your home, there's some things you have to follow as well.
Hey, say that again. Wait, say that again, because you got people, God, you telling the guy that he the head, he leadership, that he got to follow?
Oh yeah, you have to. I mean, because as a man, some men, not all men, think they know everything.
Some men think they know everything,
and sometimes that's how we grew up. You know what I'm saying? You the man, you the man, you the man, and then you miss some things. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to come back and like, hey, I got to learn how to follow as well, because I don't know everything.
This is true. So I guess that goes along with what I was saying, like having that playbook. Yeah, we were told we were the man, but what does that entail?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We want to be the head, like you said, long as you're giving out those instructions. But when it's time for you to follow some instructions, because my Bible tells me, you know what I'm saying, that God use that help me to help you get to where you going. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so if you don't want to hear when you about to crash the whole car with the family or whatever the case may be, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to go there. But the wife could tell you some things that God is showing her when the man is not listening and not paying attention, you know what I'm saying, to the warning signs.
Like they say, it's my way or the highway. But what if that highway running out and you don't see it as a man? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we don't see everything, and sometimes a woman to see that. You know what I'm saying? Like something is wrong. We gotta pivot. You know what I'm saying? For sure. I think that's true. We can't want the leadership role when everything is going in our favor. You know what I'm saying? We got to have those shoulders where when things are not going correct or going right, that we stand, you know what I'm saying, in that gap. I was listening to somebody, I can't really remember exactly who it was, but they were talking about how you're the covering.
You know what I'm saying? You the headship, but you are the covering. So you are supposed to cover your wife. You are supposed to cover your children, or whatever the case may be. God has designed men where we are to take, you know what I'm saying, that stress. And a lot of women die early because they're taking on that man role and that stress where they're not supposed to be taking. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't God never created them to take that type of stress. You know what I'm saying? And so as a man, you have to know what you're doing. And in a lot of cases where we come from, spaces and places we come from, you didn't have that figure or that role model, you know what I'm saying, that show you what it was to be a man because of slavery or whatever the case may be. So men wasn't allowed to lead like they were supposed to lead. So you've seen a lot of things that was, that wasn't right. So I say, it's one thing to be a strong leader, but you can be a strong leader in the wrong sense or whatever. You could be a strong leader in dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many times you've seen guys or parents or whatever, and they've come up the wrong way, and they start teaching their kids the wrong way or whatever the case may be, turning their kid hat or whatever the case may be, indoctrinating them in a gang or whatever the case may be, and that's a dead end. You know, the Bible says that there's a way that seems right into a man, but that way ends in death. You know what I'm saying? So we have to have the right culture, kingdom culture, or godly culture, when we're talking about being a man, and understand and seek God for that culture and what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to move. Because if we don't move correctly, we're going to cause our families to crash out.
I put it in the instance as like being a head coach of a football team.
Come on.
He got coaches. You know what I'm saying? You got to listen to your coaches. You got to listen to your wife. You got to listen to your kids. You got to take their feelings and, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, you the coach. You have to make the end decision. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. It being a head coach, man, I think that's so powerful what you just said. And we get caught up in this testosterone of, you know, like when we was coming up, or, you know, because I said so.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm the head, so it's because I said. They ask you a valid question. They just want to understand. And so we shut them down, and they dealing with all type of traumas behind it because I said so. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a point that need to be taken. Take their feelings into consideration. You know, we want people to take our feelings into consideration wherever you may go. You know what I'm saying? If you're on a job, you don't want your boss to just, because I said so. You know what I'm saying? Now you strip who God created you to be, or them to be down because I said so. You know what I'm saying? And that's a tough place to be in, you know, and I think you're not leading with compassion. You know what I'm saying? What's the old adage? You catch more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. So if we can move adequately, you know, then we can have a strong household, or then we can be strong leaders in our house. I mean, you're going to be a strong leader, again, like I said, but is it going to be a leader that builds up? Is it going to be a leader that helps their children, you know, meet their dreams and their goals of what they want to be, you know, or are you going to cause your kids to crash out?
Yeah, and at the same time, you're curating other leaders. So like if you have men, children, boys, you teaching them in that instance, they watching you. You know what I'm saying? They say, well, I got to take everybody into consideration. Then I got to go back and analyze the situation and come up with the best decision for the whole. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we make the best decision for us as men.
Boy, you got some diamonds. You're right. Sometimes it is you making the best decision for you. And we got to stop. When you get married, you come together as one. So now you're a team. And again, like we said, it's a team what's their last name. So are you going to make a decision that's best for that family? You know, when I got married or whatever the case may be, and my wife, you know, was pregnant with my daughter, it's not just with the boys, it's with the girls too. Because what you show that daughter, you know, is what she's going to look for in a man. You know, so a lot of times you'll find what young men marry or seek out a woman that reminds them of their mother. And young women will seek out and find a man that reminds them of their father. I knew that, thank God that God gave me that perspective, because I didn't want my daughter, you know, to get with a guy that may have looked like me but didn't have my heart. You know what I'm saying? That was going to take advantage of and abuse her. So if you're setting that example at home, that's strong, being a strong leader at home, leading correctly, then your children know, how to acquiesce, and if it's a boy or if it's a girl, then she knows what to look for, you know. So we're gonna take a short break, but we're not gonna leave you by yourself. We got the Vivas Band coming in with a short selection. This is the Now Mancave Edition, and we're talking about the do's and don'ts and how to lead your family. And so I want to deal with some of the do's and don'ts. I mean, we're dealing with some of the do's, but the don'ts is you have to respect your wife's ability. Don't disrespect that ability or her position, you know what I'm saying, in that household. You know, if you're the president and she's the vice president, then you have to make sure that you're consulting with her, you know, about the welfare of your family. Like you were saying, like, don't just make the best decision for you. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen a president come on the scene and just make all the decisions based off what he wanted. You know, he have a council that he must talk the important decisions over with. He got the last say so, the final decision, but he's not gonna just blow everybody else off.
Right. And another thing, we have to be emotionally available, because as men, we don't be emotionally available for our wives sometimes, or our children in that instance, because just for myself, it's hard to get in touch with your feelings sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes somebody will say something to my wife or my kids, and I won't react at that point. I go think about it, and then I come back to them with it, because sometimes I'm just not emotionally available. You know what I'm saying? So
I know exactly what you're saying.
You have to be emotionally available, but they have to know you too. You know what I'm saying? If they know that's how you work, put it out there, let me deal with it, and then know that I'll come back and deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
you got to know your children and your wife at that point too.
You definitely have to know, and I think that will bring on a place of stability, you know what I'm saying, with your wife, because she understands that you got her back or whatever the case may be. But I think a lot of times it's hard for men to show up emotionally because of where they came from, and we were stripped of that right because our parents and the people that raised us, you know, didn't have an idea, you know, a clue. You know, they always told you, oh, you a man, you don't cry, whatever the case may be, if you fall down and hurt yourself or whatever. So you've been taught all your life, you know, just to suck it up, you know what I'm saying, to put some dirt on it or whatever the case may be. But if that was the case, God would have never gave us, you know, tear ducts to cry, whatever the case may be. And so that hinders a man from being emotionally vulnerable, you know what I'm saying? Because we think like if you're emotionally vulnerable, you're a sucker, you know what I'm saying? Or you're a punk, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be. which is not true. You know what I'm saying? And actually, women will respect a man. Well, I'm not gonna say always. A woman that has that a wise woman will respect a man that can be emotionally vulnerable with her. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you're gonna be able to communicate effectively. Is when you emotionally vulnerable, you're emotionally available. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a must. That's one of the dues you definitely have to have.
That's a big thing, because with me, I had a hard time dealing with that, because sometimes people like your wife could say something to you and it'll take you there, and before you know it, you done snapped off. And they don't have to be like that. All you got to do is take a moment. You know what I'm saying? But that woman got to know her mate too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If knowing that's going to take you there. But sometimes women want to take you there because they're looking for a reaction.
Hey, whoa. Hey, you right. But I think in our immaturity, or whatever the case may be, it can be like that. You know, where a woman, and I know early on with my wife, you know, or whatever, maybe it was probably, I don't know if it's before we was married or whatever, but yeah, we'll say some things to take you there. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's why it's important what we eat. You know what I'm saying? What we digest. You know what I'm saying? We got to replace some of those ill teachings that we've been taught from our youth. You know what I'm saying? In order to be successful, we got to do it the way God say do it. You know what I'm saying? And so that means, you know, what a lot of people with men ain't gonna want to hear. You know, like I don't know where they turned, where church or whatever the case may be became a place where it's only for the women. No, it's for the men. If you look back in the Bible, most of your leaders that were successful and led successfully, you know what I'm saying, they did it the way God would have them to do it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was hell or high water, whether they was going through or not, the ones that would keep God's precepts and standards were the ones that were successful. But the ones that didn't, them was the ones that failed.
Yeah.
You know, so you like you can't fight fire with fire. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have that wisdom in order, that godly wisdom, in order to be successful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we gotta know that we there to hold the house together. You know what I'm saying? Because it can be chaos in that house.
Yeah, yeah.
But we are there to hold it together.
That's our first ministry. Yeah. Everybody get busy, you know, with all these other things, but that means nothing if our house ain't held together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It means nothing if you're not showing the love of God to your wife. It means nothing if you're not showing the love of God to your kids. You know what I'm saying? And you know, how God responds to us. What hurts us hurt God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so we can't be callous to the circumstances and the situations that's going on in our household. You know what I'm saying? I guess that goes back to that, what you're saying, being emotionally, you know, checked in and not emotionally checked out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I find too, some people they're not emotionally checked in because their father wasn't emotionally checked in. And this goes beyond race, lines, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. But, you know what I'm saying, with every temptation, God gives us a way of escape or whatever the case may be. So what you're going through, you know what I'm saying, you can overcome it, you know what I'm saying, by getting into the Word of God. And we got so many different avenues. You know, you can Google, you know what I'm saying, what you need and then come up. And I think we as men, it's essential that we do so. We do the digging, you know what I'm saying, to find out what's going to cause us to be great leaders. And that starts with a kingdom culture and not listening to this worldly culture, because this worldly culture, how you jumping off a building, tell you to jump off the building, but they're not going to jump off of it. You know what I'm saying?
I seen a lady on like YouTube University. She said, I wasn't in church, but I was getting church from Tony Evans on YouTube. And he got me through some things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do agree with that.
That's wisdom. That's wisdom. You're not being in church, but you understand who have life. You know what I'm saying? Who have what you need to take you to another level. But I seen on the flip side, I seen a woman on social media, whatever the case may be, and she went off, and she was right, because I began to look at it. She was like, we listening to our leaders.
Yeah.
She said our leaders, and she quoted Beyonce, she quoted Meg Thee Stallion, she quoted Cardi B, she quoted all these women that tell you how to live like a thot. You know what I'm saying? However, all of them have successful relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they're giving you this garbage, you know what I'm saying, but keeping the secrets to themselves about, she's like, don't tell me how to have a hot girl summer, you know what I'm saying? Tell me how to have a valuable relationship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's just what it is, you know what I'm saying? We need to seek out those people that have the answer, those that have valuable relationships, or seek out people that have valuable leadership that's going to lead you in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? Because on a daily basis, you can find leadership that's going to cause you to crash out.
Right, and a lot of those women, they going through stuff in their marriage and they overcoming it, and you know what I'm saying, but they not putting that out to these women, you know what I'm saying? So it's
But you're right, and that's why the Bible says, like, that we overcome by the blood of the lambs and the words of our testimony.
Yes.
So we have to share, you know what I'm saying? It's not for us, what we go through for us to hoard, you know what I'm saying, to ourselves. I don't want to tell nobody, but when you begin to tell and show other people that I'm human just like you human, so then that give me a chance to say, okay, I'm put on my big boy pants, pants on, or whatever the case may be. If Tony went through this situation, he was able to overcome. If Brian went through this situation, he was able to overcome, you know what I'm saying? And we give them the tools of what we use to overcome these circumstances, situation, then we're better for it, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what's needed to grab hold of sound counsel in our communities. We got to show up.
yeah.
We got to show up, man. We got to show up. It's in whatever aspect that we can. It says it takes a village, you know what I'm saying, to raise a child, whatever the case may be. And so if we have the answer, you know, we have to be willing to share the answer.
And that what makes a strong leader in the home right there. And I just pray that, like, my kids and, you know, people around me see that I've been through some things and I changed. You know what I'm saying? You can make some mistakes, but you can get back, dust yourself off, get back up, and do it again. You know, don't make the same mistake twice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about.
Definitely what makes a strong leader is understanding where you come from. You know what I'm saying? Being able to admit when you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? Being able to apologize to your spouse. You know what I'm saying? Being able even to apologize to your children.
Yeah.
That's what breaks a lot of kids when they come from households of the quote unquote believer, when their parents do things that's not like Christ, and then they don't apologize because I'm the authority figure. You know what I'm saying? And they see the hypocrisy that nobody else sees from behind closed doors. You know, so being able to be transparent is another part of being that leader.
We'll go repent to God, but won't say I'm sorry to our spouse or our children. So I get exactly what you're saying on that.
That's facts. So this is going to conclude this edition of the Man's Now program, the Man Cave program of Now. We're going to send it back to the Vibas Band.
production of In Between Amens. PM Blossom, executive producer. Co-host, Karen Hammonds, Kim Galloway, Tony Carter, and Bryant Wright. Now is a production of In Between Amens in partnership with World Outreach Conference Center for East 111th Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60628. 773-264-2588.